When you think of marriage preparation, what comes to mind? For most people, it's the 6 months before the big wedding day. You're trying out the tux and the dress. But the Catholic Church teaches that if that's when marriage preparation is starting, it's starting way too late. That's just what's called immediate marriage preparation. There's also proximate and remote, meaning you need to be preparing for your marriage when you're in high school, even when you're in grade school. So how are you supposed to do this as a high school student getting ready for a marriage that might not take place for another 10 years? Your wedding vows and promises are that your love is going to be free, total, faithful, and fruitful. How can you practice those things now as a single person? Well, let's break them down. How do you practice a love that's free? And the freedom that I'm talking about is not free to do whatever you want. It's a freedom from internal constraints, meaning I'm not addicted to things. I'm free to love because I'm not so tied into lust that I can't even say no to my sexual temptations. Freedom also from, let's say, being addicted to relationships where I can't even stand on my own 2 feet as an independent and happy person. Because the fact is, if you can't be happily single, then you're not going to be fully happy within a relationship. I met one girl who told me, I can't break up with my boyfriend. He told me that if I ever dumped him, that he would die without me. Now, this is not a relationship, okay? That's a hostage situation. Because if he would die without you, he doesn't need a girlfriend, he needs a therapist, okay? This is a lack of authentic freedom. You need to be free to find yourself before you find your soulmate. Free to take some time away from the whole dating game. And this is huge, to not enter a relationship looking for the love that only God can give to us. Because if we do that, then we make an idol out of the relationship, and all idols are meant to be broken. And so we need to practice giving a love that is truly free. Secondly, part of the vow that your love needs to be total. How to practice total love is an unconditional love. You oftentimes hear people saying, look, I love you, I'm just not in love with you anymore. It's like, look, you never loved me to begin with. You loved the feelings that you got from being around them. And we need to be able to graduate beyond the attachment of how the other person makes us feel to the attachment of loving who this person is as a person. And if we can practice doing that as a single person, we'll be more ready to love somebody totally within the sacrament of marriage. The third part of the wedding vows that we make is that our love is faithful. And to understand, by practicing chastity and purity now, you're actually training yourself in faithfulness. Because if you're going to get married, then one day you're going to promise somebody, I'm going to love you and I'm going to honor you all of the days of my life. Well, realize today is a day of your life. And by practicing chastity now, you're actually learning the virtues that are going to hold a marriage together. And it pays off in the end. It really does. I saw this magazine that had a study on over 2,000 married couples. And it said chastity before marriage may have its uses after all. Well, who knew? They surveyed 2,035 married couples and found that the couples who waited until after they were married to have sex had better communication, better relationship satisfaction, better sexual quality in the relationship, and a more perceived stability in the relationship. And so the fact is, it does pay off. And so we've got to train ourselves in this faithfulness. And we need to be able to stay away from those things that teach us the opposite of faithfulness. Mostly things like pornography, which basically just gets you addicted to mental adultery. Because if we can cut these things out, then we're going to realize that fidelity is not just what I do with my body. Fidelity is what I do with my heart, with my eyes, and with my entire imagination. And if I can grow in that kind of faithfulness, then I'll be well prepared for the day of my wedding. And the last part of the 4 wedding vows and promises is that your love would be fruitful. So how do you practice that? How do you practice having kids before you get married? Well, one, to realize the connection between life and love. Making love should mean making life. And if you can understand this, then realize that by practicing abstinence now, you might not ever thought about this, that you're actually loving your children before you even have them, by not conceiving them before you're ready to love them. And so by understanding that connection between life and love that God has designed, you're preparing yourself for that vow of your marriage that you're going to make one day. So if you've taken the time as a single person now to practice a love that's free, that's total, that's faithful, and that's fruitful, you'll be well prepared for your wedding day. Because you don't get the virtues needed to hold a marriage together by getting a wedding ring on your hand. You get this through years of sacrifice. The time to begin is now. Set your standards high for who you hope to find as a future husband or wife. And it's not enough to sit back and imagine who that ideal spouse is. Instead of just sitting around doing that, it's more important that you become the kind of person that you hope to marry. And if you do this, I really believe that you're going to be saving your marriage before you even meet your spouse.